Good morning. This is a vibrant and busy time at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin, so before we formally begin our service, I'd like to share with you a few things going on in the life of the church that you might want to get involved with. First, each Sunday, one of our caring companions is designated to be available at the front of the sanctuary after the service to listen to any immediate pastoral needs and assist you with connecting to additional pastoral support should you like that. Today's caring companion is Tony Wegner. Tony, could you please stand and wave so that we can identify you? Thank you after the service. Thanks, Tony. Next, please join Reverend Carrie, Biss, and Aubrey for Vespers and dinner on this Tuesday, May 27th at 6:30 p.m. here in Housen Hall. Today is our question box service where, for the sermon, Michelle and I will answer your questions about the church, our Unitarian Universalist faith, life, the universe, and everything. There are pens and index cards on the little table right there in the foyer if you'd like to write down and submit a question and then put it in one of these baskets up front. That would be great. If you're joining us online, you can ask a question in the comments and they will get that question to us. Please submit your questions at least by the end of our first hymn today. On each Sunday, we light candles in the sanctuary and along the windows to mark sacred moments in our lives. Although we do have a time set aside during worship to note these candle lightings, you are invited, and I would say even encouraged, to light candles at any time before or during the service when you feel motivated to do so. That will help us keep our service running on time, so light candles early, light candles often if you wish. Now let all who have gathered in beloved community, whether in virtual space or in person, join our spirits in worship together.
In the spirit of the question box service that we have here today, I pose my question verbally, and it is, can Steve Reich's music for 18 musicians be performed by one? The answer, I don't know. Maybe it can.
Good morning. Whether you are joining us online or here in the sanctuary, welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin, Texas. We are a spiritual community dedicated to a free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and beauty. I am the Reverend Michelle Lagrave, your co-lead interim minister for a short time longer. I am a kind of short, middle-aged white woman wearing a black robe and red pagan goddess stole and glasses. I especially want to welcome those of you who are new to the congregation. If you are joining us remotely, and if you can, please say hello in the comments and let us know from where you are viewing the service, just because it's kind of fun to see how far y'all come from. If you are here in person, please join us for the social hour after the worship service. Whether you are here in person or online, we invite you to fill out the online visitor form at austinuu.org. Simply click on worship, which will show you a link to the form. We would love to get to know you better if you are willing. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whomever your ancestors, whatever your abilities or disabilities, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. You belong here. We come from a long tradition of seeing a spark of the divine in every person. It is in this tradition, this living tradition, that I invite you to greet the holy among us, either in the comments or by turning to those around you.
Good morning again. I'm Reverend Chris Jimmerson, co-lead minister. My pronouns are he, him. I am an almost 6-foot white male wearing a white cutout stole and a black robe. I invite you now to please join me in the words by which we light our chalice. This is the flame we hold in our hearts as we strive for justice for everyone. This is the light we shine upon systems of oppression until they are no more. This is the warmth we share with one another as our struggle becomes our salvation.
Our call to worship this morning is brief, and it comes from Peter Block. Understand that the task is to shift the demand from the right answer to the search for the right question. Let us worship and begin by singing together and rising either in body or spirit for number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, verses 1 through 3.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
The call for questions is now closed. One of the things that binds First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin together is that we have a common religious purpose. And for this religious community, that purpose is our mission. The congregation wrote it together, we emblazoned it on our wall, and those of us in worship every Sunday say it together so that we might more readily carry it in our hearts throughout the week. Let's do so now. Together, we nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice to build the beloved community.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of your imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. What will fade in cessation? If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Life in this, just be free if you truly wish to be. This can be a sing-along, you can help me out. You will find in your mind there's a world of endless fascination. No more fun place to be than in your imagination. There can dream any dream. You can savor every situation. Life in there's a sensational sensation. If you want to see magic lands. Close your eyes and you will see one. Wanna be a dreamer, be one. Anytime you please, and please save me one. There is no place to go to compare with your imagination. So go there to be free if you truly wish to be.
Soul is out today, so I will be leading the time for all ages. If anyone who is young or young at heart or just wants to come up close to see the story and the pictures, wants to come up, you are invited to do so now. Hi, everyone. So this morning's book is called I Wonder, and it was written by Annaka Harris and illustrated by John Rowe. Eva loves to look for the moon. It follows her from place to place, disappearing behind trees and mountains, and then appearing someplace new. Look, Mama, there it is. The moon looks so beautiful in the sky. How do you think it follows us, Eva? Eva thinks about it, but she just can't figure it out. It's okay to say, I don't know, says her mother. When we don't know something, we get to wonder about it. I wonder if the moon and the earth are friends, says Eva. Her mother smiles. I like that idea. But Mama, how does the moon really stay close to us? There is an invisible force called gravity that pulls all the things in the universe together, Eva's mother explains. Gravity keeps the moon close to the earth, and it keeps the planets close to the sun, too. They circle around like this. Eva understands a little better, but then she starts to wonder, Mama, where does gravity come from? I don't know, Eva. Nobody really knows for sure. And when no one knows the answer to something, it's called a mystery. A mystery is something for everyone to wonder about together. How fun! Eva imagines herself wondering about gravity with all of the people in the world. This is my favorite picture in the book. Eva is walking around the rings on one of the planets. Eva watches the moon disappear behind the clouds as she walks, excited to see where it will appear next. How many grains of sand are in the whole world, Mama? I wonder about that too. There are trillions and trillions of grains of sand, but nobody knows exactly how many. Eva tries to think about all the sand in the whole world. It feels so big that I can't fit it all in my imagination. It makes me feel dizzy, like I'm falling. I know what you mean, her mother agrees, and I'm sure other people feel this way too. Got to make sure Brent gets a good view too. Eva walks down another path looking for the moon, and a little orange butterfly appears. Then she notices there are butterflies everywhere. Mama, where did all of these butterflies come from? These butterflies have been flying around for a few days, but they started out as little caterpillars. And these caterpillars came from eggs, and those eggs came from other butterflies. There are cycles all around us, one thing ending and another beginning. Things are always changing. Can you think of other things that change? We talked about this last time too. The end is just a beginning, right? From last week's story. You remember it, yeah. Clouds and frogs and me. We grow and change too. And here's a picture of Eva and her mama dancing together in circles out in the woods. Yeah. Looks like fun, huh? Later, Eva wonders, Mama, what was here before all the butterflies and frogs and clouds, before everything? I don't know, answers her mother. It's another mystery. I like trying to imagine what was here before the beginning of everything. What do you think was here? And Eva says, smiling, I don't know. She thinks about it for a long time, and then she has an idea. I wonder if there were feelings. As she walks home, Eva sees the moon again, glowing brightly above the roof of her house. Let's go inside and look for the moon through the window. We live with some big mysteries. When we come upon one, we're given a little gift. Every mystery is something for all of us to wonder about together. What do you wonder about? What flowers look like on other planets. Wonders if infinity is actually a real number. Those are both awesome things to wonder about. And we're going to keep wondering about together. Oh, we have another one? Ooh. If space really exists forever, or if there is an invisible wall at the end of time? I wonder about that too. It's hard to grasp a concept of never-ending infinity. It's too big for my brain, that's for sure. All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to sing you out to the playground now, and you can continue to wonder together.
Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'm breathing peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in,
This is the time during our service when we commit to the mission and ministries of this church by making an offering. We give out of our own so that together we might build a better world. If you are visiting with us today, please allow the plate to pass you by. You are our guests. You can give in a few different ways by going to austinuu.org and clicking on the link at the top right side of the page, or by texting your contributions to 84321, or by placing an offering in the basket the ushers are about to pass. Here in the sanctuary, the ushers will now collect our offering.
All blessings on your offerings, all blessings on each of you. Our reading is from Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke. Have patience with everything that remains unsolved in your heart. Try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books written in a foreign language. Do not now look for the answers. They cannot now be given to you because you could not live them. It is a question of experiencing everything. At present, you need to live the questions. Perhaps you will gradually, without even noticing it, find yourself experiencing the answer some distant day.
Please find a comfortable place in your seats. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And take a deep breath in as we join together in a time of prayer and meditation. This is the time in our service when we center ourselves together. We breathe together. In and out. Out and in. And breathing together, we sense one another's loving presence. Breathing in and breathing out, we follow our breath to a deeper place inside, a place of greater wisdom, a place where a spark of the divine resides within each of us. In and out, out and in. Breathing together, we enter now into a time of sacred silence, all the while remembering that nowhere is the world fully silent. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you now to light a candle if you are so moved. Candles representing sorrow, joy, hope, remembrance, resilience, whatever it is that you need to honor during this moment in time. And as we light candles, I invite you to keep in your mind and heart members of our community who are ill or in sorrow, as well as those who are celebrating joys. Let us hold the silence together throughout this meditative time. Here we go.
Okay,
You ready?
I am ready, as I'm going to get.
What is your favorite aquatic animal and why?
That is such a Unitarian question. Wow, I would say the whale, because it's so documented how intelligent they are and how much they bond with one another, that whales actually mourn the loss of their mates and companions, and that they actually help each other out and rescue each other. And not only that, they help out other species, including humans sometimes, and that's been well documented. So perhaps we can learn something about interconnectedness from their sense of interconnectedness.
I would say, similarly, the dolphin.
Is First UU fully staffed at the moment?
No.
We did not plant that, I'm just saying.
No, that was a legitimate question, and no, you are not. And we are struggling to staff people at appropriate salary levels as well as appropriate numbers of staff.
Agreed. What would you say is Unitarian Universalism's greatest calling in this moment in history?
That one is pretty easy. We have passed all the markers according to academic scholars who study political movements, and we are currently living in an authoritarian government. We meet all of those characteristics, and we are well on the way to fascism. So I would say our greatest calling right now is speaking up against fascism and keeping on with all the good work we do.
So in a similar way, I would say that, as many of you know, we have centered our faith in the value of love. We have centered our faith in love. I call that a fierce love. And I think right now that fierce love is calling us more than ever to our anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multicultural work, because I think that racism and oppression and anti-multiculturalism are the tools of fascism right now. And I think theologically, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, injustice to one is injustice to all. And as collective liberation says, we're all part of that interwoven tapestry. None of us can reach our most creative spiritual fulfillment until all of us can reach their most creative spiritual fulfillment. And so right now, I would say that that is our calling, and that fierce love calls us to not allow ourselves to get discouraged and fall into despair. My beau sent me some information from Pew Research recently about how discouraged so many of us really are becoming because of what's happening in our country, specifically related especially to racism and oppression. And I would say right now I want to talk to my fellow cis white people. So if you don't identify as those, feel free to look at your smartphone or take a potty break. I won't be offended. I think that other folks have been doing the heavy lifting for a long time, and I think it is now time for us to step up, and I think it's especially easy for us to fall into despair because we're not the ones that are going to get sent to a concentration camp in El Salvador or Sudan or somewhere even worse. So I think that we are the ones that are now called to rip up racism and all of those related oppressions from the roots, because all of those oppressions are rooted together. We have to rip up racism and all of the other oppressions because, again, none of us can thrive until all of us can thrive. And I don't know what gets more theological than that, and I don't know what expresses love more than that.
Does sin exist in Unitarian Universalism?
Yes, not recycling, not including vegan and other options during meals. I actually want to talk about this a little bit, I think, later possibly. But I do think that we as Unitarian Universalists do have to develop a theology of evil, because we have to recognize that evil is happening in our world in order to combat that evil.
So those of you who were here last week will remember that I talked about seeing sin as injustice or sin as cruelty out there in the world instead of internalized and shameful within ourselves. I still hold to that, and I would say that within Unitarian Universalism, injustice certainly exists, because as long as we've been working on anti-racism, anti-oppression related things, from abolition all the way through history, Selma, everything else, we're still not there, and we're still working on it, and we still have a lot more to do.
Is it my turn to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
What is a very inspiring moment in UU history?
This one's really hard to choose, only one. I think I'll say, because we're already kind of on the topic anyway, I'll say the teach-ins that happened about 8-ish years ago, getting close to a decade. Those of you who are newer to Unitarian Universalism may not be familiar with this history, but we had a program where all of the congregations throughout the country were invited to have teach-ins on white supremacy pretty much at the same time. And a lot of what we did was look at the work of Tima Okun and Kenny Jones, and start talking about dismantling a culture of white supremacy. And I feel like that was a major shift for myself, but also for all of us as a faith tradition. I think for a long time we had looked at racism as something out there to combat and fight against. And then with these teach-ins, we started to understand better the work that we have to do internal to ourselves as individuals, as well as internal to our congregations. So it's not just about society, it's about how we embody things in our congregation and embody things in ourselves. And I'm going to expand that a little bit. While it was really focused on racism, I'm speaking to everybody, because there are so many other oppressions that we are also working on, whether they are related to LGBTQ or gender identity, which is the T and the Q, but especially right now, gender identity. And also, we've only really started talking about disability the last couple years.
Yeah. I would agree with all that, and I would add, just more personally and more involving Unitarian Universalism within this church, for me, a really inspiring moment was when I was a new minister and I was in the airport in Boston, actually coming home from a meeting at the Unitarian Universalist Association, and our senior minister at the time, Meg Barnhouse, called me and asked me if I would be okay if we took a young woman into immigration sanctuary here at the church. And I burst into tears right there in the Boston airport because I was so proud of this church, and that was such a meaningful moment. And then the way this church responded to that and really set up a place for her to live within the church, and took part in eventually gaining freedom for that person, was just so inspiring for me. Let's see. Do dogs and cats go to heaven?
Yes.
Agreed. Especially my dogs.
Yes. That was a simple answer. Yes, that's all you're getting. What is one of your current pet peeves?
Right now, it is when people look at our current political situation and say something like, this is not who we are as a country. And I'll admit it's a peeve because I want to think that too. And then I have to go, really? Because this is a country that was built on slavery. This is a country that was built on indentured servitude. And then after that, a continuation of working conditions that looked a lot like indentured servitude. It's a country that continued Jim Crow laws, had broken promises after the Civil War, segregation, I could go on and on, lynching. White people used to pack a picnic basket and take their children to lynchings and hold them on their shoulders so they could see better. This is a country that didn't give women the vote for years and years and years, that even more recently didn't let women own credit cards or property. It's a country that engaged in imperialism throughout the world in order to build up and make profits for our corporations. It is a country that did not respond as a government and a society when my friends were dying of AIDS, and in fact laughed and said they deserved it. So this is the country who we are and have been. It is. And we have to recognize that because it's not the country we want to be and we want to become. And what we have to do is demand that this country live up to the values that this country has always proclaimed but has not yet lived out. And in order to do that, I want to challenge a couple of almost theologies of progressive religion. One is that people are inherently good. I think we have to challenge that. It goes back to the question about sin. I think people have inherent worthiness, but whether we behave in ways that are helpful and good as regards others or harmful and sinful as regards others depends on the work that we do within ourselves to answer that call of love, and depends on the education and cultural environment we create for everyone. So we cannot assume that we will automatically do good, because that's not true. We have to answer the call of love so that we engage in the good and we don't answer the call of our lesser angels and do harm. The other thing I would say is we have to get rid of this idea that the arc of the universe inevitably bends towards justice, because it doesn't. Left alone, the universe is random. We have to bend that arc toward justice, and that is up to us. And we have to realize that we have to do that not knowing what the outcome of that is going to be, because we have to know it's worth doing that work regardless, because that is the way that we know God and that is the way that we know love. And that arc is going to be a jagged line, and we have to know that. So that is my pet peeve.
So there, Theodore Parker.
Yeah, I've got a gun in the... No, I'm kidding.
That Theodore Parker used to keep a gun in
yeah,
his
we should
desk
explain.
in order to defend the fugitive slaves who lived in his congregation from those militias that were coming after them in Massachusetts.
And what's your pet peeve?
So bringing it down to the specifics of actual day-to-day life for me, when people park their vehicles over the edge of the curb and block the sidewalk so that people who use scooters and rollators and walkers and service dogs and guide sticks and everything else can't walk on the walk stop or roll on the sidewalks. I'm reminded of this because yesterday I was coming home to my apartment and there was a moving van blocking the two disabled spots, and I was not able to park. I could go on and on about disability pet peeves.
So blocking the sidewalk is a sin within
Yes.
Unitarian Universalism.
Yes, it is. Don't do it. And I would add on to what Chris said that, this is a big vision talking about the country and the difference between the ideals we believe in and how our country actually behaves or actually is. The same is true for our UU congregations people. We have wonderful ideas and values about welcoming people of diverse genders and diverse races and ethnicities and diverse orientations and diverse abilities, but we don't always actually do it. We have work to do. And I think it's okay to have work to do. What's not okay with me, the peeve part, is thinking that because we believe it makes it true.
Yeah, thank you. And related to that, what is the rationale behind the ungendering of the restrooms with the new signs?
Oh, okay. We are going to stop focusing on people's personal equipment, also known as genitalia. We're not going to figure out which reproductive organs people have or do not have and which bathrooms they belong in. Instead, we are going to focus on the equipment which is present in the bathroom, whether they are stalls or urinals. If urinals freak you out, I know it's true for a lot of people, don't go in the one that has urinals. And I'm being a little flippant, my spouse is transgender, if that gives some perspective to my going on and on about this. But I also want to say, pastorally, I think this can activate some people who have a trauma history in terms of safety in bathrooms. And I get that, and we need to be pastoral in addressing that. And we have a single stall bathroom. So anyone who doesn't feel safe, doesn't feel comfortable, just use the single stall. Everybody else who's good mixing up the genders, use all the rest of them.
I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay. Do you have a favorite hymn?
Oh my gosh, Morning is Broken. I just love that one for some reason.
I have so many favorite
I know,
hymns.
it's so hard to pick one.
I would say number 6. That is the one I want sung at my memorial service. That is how I want to live my life.
It's probably easier to answer the one that I don't like, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Okay.
Why don't we have more evening activities for adults without children?
Okay. 2 answers for that.
Uh-huh.
One is we have a plethora of chalice circles and wellspring groups that really are adults only.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's important to have some adults only type things. And we are building a beloved community, and children are part of our beloved community. And children and youth of all ages belong in all of our worship services and in all of our Vesper services and in all of our social potluck, auction, everything else we do. So we need to really think about, are we separating ourselves out as adults because there's some kind of intellectual discourse we're having that would be above their heads and they'd be bored to tears or might not be quite appropriate to their little ears? Or are we kind of going in that direction of children are a bother, they should be seen but not heard? So we need to really think about that before we talk about whether and when we should have adults-only spacing. And we are understaffed. We are understaffed, and one of the areas that we need more help with is adult RE. So what we have been doing is putting a lot of stuff out in our newsletters that has to do with getting involved with adult RE, adult faith development, either through DRUM, which is the people of color BIPOC group, or Southern Region, or UUA activities where you can join in online and meet UUs from other congregations who are adults.
So we are running short on time, so we're going to make this the last question. And I'll just add very quickly, I talked earlier about collective liberation theology, and a part of that theology that says, I can only thrive unless all of you and everyone thrives, is that one of the ways we thrive is appreciating difference. And that's true whether it's across culture or race or gender identity or whatever it might be. As Valerie Kaur says, you, each of you, and everyone else is just a part of me that I haven't gotten to know yet. And so for me to thrive, I have to get to know you, and I have to enjoy and respect that difference and learn from it. The same is true for multi-generational differences. And believe me, we can enhance our spirituality as adults by listening to what our children have to say. And that's why I would invite you, even if you're an adult without children, to come to the events that include adults with children and interact with the children, because it will help you to thrive to do that.
Absolutely.
And I have, there we go.
And speaking of Valerie Power, is Beth here by any chance? Can you stand up? This is Beth. She is going to be leading a year-long adult faith program on Valerie Power's work next year based on revolutionary love, and it is going to be amazing, and I'm so sad that I'm going to miss it. So if you have questions or want to start getting information, Beth is your person to talk to.
Yay. All right, now please rise and body your spirit as we sing together hymn number 123 from the gray hymnal, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Please join me in our words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again. As we go out into our world now, may we continue to explore questions more profound than answers.
And may we also find some really good answers every now and then. May the congregation say amen.
And blessed be. Go in peace.
Thank you.